Well, we of course are living in strange times, and getting ready to go into the Tennessee State Museum here, and they're requiring everybody to wear face masks. I just picked up some from Origin a couple days ago, super lightweight. So anyway, I hate that things are the way they are, but what can you do? All right, anyway, we're gonna get in here and see what we can learn. Well, we just made it through security, heading up here to the second level. I looked online, and I'm pretty excited about some of the things they have here. I don't know everything that's here at the museum, but what I have scouted out looks like it's going to be pretty cool. Now, they start off in the museum talking about some of the prehistory of Tennessee. So here you can see some different arrowheads and primitive tools, I guess you could say. And then look at this. Got this big old mastodon jaw and mastodon tusk. Hard to believe that these things once walked around this continent. Yeah, and here they have a few more tools. So these might all look like arrowheads, but they're not. The one on the left is an arrowhead. That middle one is actually a drill, and then this one on the right is a bone needle. Interesting. Okay, so what we're looking at is a display from the frontier period, and this is so awesome. They have Daniel Boone's actual pocket knife from about 1760 up there, as well as his musket. How awesome is that? All right, kind of moving into a little bit more westward expansion now, and nothing typifies westward expansion more than a Conestoga wagon. Now that linen cover there is a reproduction, but everything else is original. Pretty amazing. Always love looking at these old guns. So this is an old flintlock that belonged to a lady named Sarah Buchanan from 1760 to 1790. So cool to have this old gun here. This is what I really found interesting though, is this tool right here, which was a powder charge. You can see the notches on it. Well, that's made out of bone and was used to measure powder for your musket shot. Interesting. Wow. Now this is cool. There are fewer than 20 original 13-star flags left in existence, and this is one of them. And it's in kind of rough shape. But man, oh man, the star pattern's a little bit different than anything I've ever seen. Very, very interesting. Well, of course, in the Tennessee History Museum, we're going to be talking about Andrew Jackson and his role in the Creek War and the War of 1812. And right up here, we have a presentation dress sword and scabbard that belonged to Andrew Jackson. And here we have a chair. I have no idea what significance it holds, but it's a cool chair. All right, we got a little bit more here from old Andrew Jackson. This is a painting that was made around 1833. And they also have a lock of Andrew Jackson's hair. This is pretty cool. This is the hat that Andrew Jackson wore to his first inauguration. And right here is the hat box that it would have gone with. At least I think those two match up together. Maybe not. That black band, though, signifies the mourning for his wife Rachel, who died shortly before he assumed the office of president. And also, Andrew Jackson was a little bit of a violent man and was known to duel, so they have some dueling pistols here. These aren't Andrew Jackson's, but they are similar to the dueling pistols that he would have used. This is showing a few artifacts from one of the less noble parts of our history, that of the era of slavery. These are just facsimiles. These aren't original advertisements for slave auction, but that is a set of wrist shackles that would have been used for slaves. It says around about 1840 time period. Here are another set of shackles. These are neck shackles, though. My gosh, that looks awful. These would be used to keep groups of male slaves from running away. So I guess they would kind of shackle them together, but allow their legs to remain free for travel. Wow, that is really awful. What we're looking at here is a pair of linen trousers, and slaves would have been involved at every stage of this. They would have been involved in growing the cotton, turning the plant fibers into linen, and then sewing the material together. And then this is a chair that was put together by a slave who had bought his freedom and then made his own little chair factory. Another famous figure from Tennessee is Davy Crockett. Well, looky here. Here is a knife that belonged to Davy Crockett. So D. Crockett is etched into the blade. I can't really see it though, but it says that's the case. Here you can see a snuff box that belonged to Davy Crockett. Huh. And apparently he wrote a book about Martin Van Buren. I did not know that. Very interesting. In the video right before this one, we visited the grave of James K. Polk, who was from Tennessee, was the 11th president, and was president during the Mexican-American War. So here's Polk's walking cane here. Interesting. And then they have all kinds of different muskets and flintlocks and things like that, and a few other items that are associated with the Mexican-American War, including this dress coat that belonged to Major General Gideon Pillow. And my gosh, look at how tiny his waist was. Good grief. Here's Gideon Pillow right here. And then this is really what caught my eye. These are chests that belong to Santa Anna. So another kind of cool artifact from the Mexican-American War. And also a crucifix that somebody brought back. A little war trophy, I guess. Okay, so we're leaving the frontier and early portion of Tennessee and now getting to some of the Civil War history of the state of Tennessee. Now, in one of my previous videos, we looked at the Battle of Fort Donelson. Well, here they have a Confederate flag that belonged to the 20th Tennessee, and also this canteen that was recovered just outside of Fort Donelson. Very interesting. Got a few Civil War weapons here. That top one is an 1861 model musket made by Colt Firearms that was recovered at the Battle of Shiloh. And look at this pig sticker here. Good grief, man. That thing looks awful. Look at this. This is the bone of some poor cow that got smoked by a Civil War mini ball. Wow. This is kind of cool. This is a Bible that belonged to a guy named Hugh Gwynn, who was an Irish immigrant. And yeah, at the Battle of Chickamauga, there was a rifle bullet that struck the Bible and saved his life. He had it in his front pocket. Okay, now this is just super cool to me. This is called a war log. So it was kind of popular to get souvenirs of trees that got all busted up in combat. And this is an example. So you can see bits of cannonball shrapnel and everything like that that are embedded in this tree. That's really cool. Now we have 3 videos that we've done on the Battle of Franklin, and this uniform right here belonged to a gentleman by the name of Otho French Straw. He led his men in battle. He was on the Confederate side, was wounded twice, and the 3rd bullet that struck him killed him instantly. And this is his uniform. Here's a Confederate canteen that was recovered from somebody in the 10th Tennessee Infantry that was killed at Franklin. And this bugle was also recovered there at the Battle of Franklin. Look at that little thing. Very cool to have visited that battle site and then see some artifacts from the actual battle. So the post-war era was pretty awful in many places in the South due to the rise of the Ku Klux Klan. This was an organization that was trying to reassert white supremacy in the South, and the state government mobilized the state National Guard, or the State Guard, to protect African Americans. I don't know how successful they were. Here they have a few other things, some different pins and medallions from the Klan. Yeah, pretty awful. The post-war era was also a time whenever another Tennessee native made a name for himself, President Andrew Johnson, who took over after the assassination of Lincoln, and as I mentioned in the last video, was the first president to be impeached. They have a few artifacts here that belong to Johnson. This is a pin with an inscription on it. It says to Honorable A. Johnson by Jos F. Stokes, Philadelphia, 1866. They also have a pocket watch that was owned by Andrew Johnson and his cane. Yeah, so even though he's typically ranked pretty low on the list of great presidents, it's still interesting to see some artifacts from the man himself. Pete Roberts, I'm throwing this in for you and the people there at Origin. This is an old sock knitting machine from the early 1900s. Man, look at all of the pieces and engineering that went into that. That's actually pretty impressive. They have a section here from World War I as well. And some of the items I've seen before, but some of them might be a little bit different. People might not know about. So this little coiled piece of metal right here was nicknamed a pigtail. So the French gave them that name, and that corkscrew design would help secure barbed wire barriers. And then this ball of barbed wire here was called a gooseberry. Kind of had a thorny nature like a gooseberry bush. And I guess they would just throw these balls of wire out there. I'd never seen one of these before, so that's pretty interesting to me. And then of course you have the old trench knife. Gosh, those things are wicked. And here we have an old Vickers machine gun, the water jacket over it. And I'd never seen one of these before. This is like a little clacker that you would spin around to warn of a gas attack. And they also have some German breastplate armor. But it doesn't look like it was super effective. Okay, I'm just leaving the World War I section now, and right around the corner is something just extremely cool. You can tell by how expressive my eyes are that I'm excited about this next display. So probably one of the most famous figures from World War I on the American side is Alvin York. Was originally a conscientious objector, and then went on to serve in the war anyway, and was awarded the Medal of Honor for his actions there. He was awarded a number of other medals as well, but this is his uniform. You can see up here, these are the dog tags that were worn by Alvin York. as well as a 1914 Mauser pistol and holster that he confiscated from a German major. And they also have his pocket knife and a whistle that he had. So all kinds of things belonging to Alvin York, including his Croix de Guerre. That is cool. And it says that his Medal of Honor is supposed to be here too, but I don't see it. So I guess it's maybe on display at another museum right now on loan or something. That is awesome though. All right, whew. Well, that was the Tennessee State Museum right here in Nashville, Tennessee. Pretty amazing place. I'm telling you, I did not even film a fraction of all of the things that they have for people to see in there. Tons of artifacts, lots of history, and it's free to get into. So if you're ever in Nashville, Tennessee, man, this is definitely a place to stop and visit. But for now, we're off to the next place. Well, we of course are living with a tornado siren.